Okay, here we go. We got Donshea Hopkins, aka Raina St. Patrick, who was recently murdered on the show
Wrongly
Power by
murdered.
her, by her punk ass wannabe gangster junkie brother, Tariq.
Yep.
Number one, congratulations on, I guess, being the number 2 show on cable.
Yeah, we're actually number 1.
Oh, you guys
Number
beat out Game of
one.
Thrones.
Yes, we beat out Game of Thrones.
Wow, and Game
Yeah.
of Thrones spends like $100 million an episode.
Yeah.
So you guys are dollar for dollar the number 1 show on television.
Yeah, we are.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you.
So let's just talk about how you got the role of Power, and we'll kind of lead into what ultimately happened with your character. Okay. So tell me about how you initially booked, your position on the show.
All right, so it was just a regular day. I went in for the audition for Power. Then about a week later, I got a call back, and I did a chemistry read with Michael Rainey Jr., who plays Tariq. And then about 3 weeks later, they called me. They didn't call me, but they called my mom and told her that I booked it, and she kept it a secret from me for 2.5 months.
For 2.5 months.
Yes, 2.5 months.
I mean, and this is like your biggest gig at this point. So
Yeah.
how did your mom manage to really keep this a secret and not tell you?
I mean, I don't know. She's good at keeping secrets. I have to give her that. So, like, a round of applause, because I don't know how she does it. Because, I mean, I'd say I'm, like, somewhat okay at keeping secrets, but after, like, 1 month, I break. But, yeah, she's, like, the queen of secrets. But she kept it a secret from me. Then she finally told me, and she was like, hey, do you remember that thing you went out for, that show Power? And I was like, yeah. So I'm like, okay. I either booked it or she's either about to tell me, like, one of my friends got it. So I'm like, okay, yeah, what about it? And she's like, you booked it. And I ran around the house screaming like a maniac. I was just really excited.
I bet.
Yeah.
So you book the role, and you get on set, you start meeting the rest of the characters and so forth. Like, how was the chemistry initially with you guys?
The chemistry was great. But I mean, I think like the first day on set of a new show is definitely like the first day of school. I mean, I've been homeschooled my whole life, but I can only imagine that's like the first day of school. You get to meet everyone, and from the start, the chemistry was really great. Everyone was upbeat, energetic, and everyone was just ready to get to work. And from there, we kind of built that family dynamic.
Okay, and like, how involved was 50 in this whole process? 'Cause I know 50 is in a sort of like an occasional character on the show,
Yeah.
and I guess he's the executive producer, or
Yeah,
one
he
of
is.
the
He's
executive
the
producers?
executive producer.
So what exactly does he do in terms of hands-on with Power?
He's really hands-on, which a lot of people don't know, but he's pretty hands-on. The first day on set, I'm not sure, was he there on the first day on set? I think he was there. I know he was definitely at the first table read. So he comes to most of the table reads whenever he can. But yeah, and then he'll like pop up on set and surprise us sometimes. But yeah, he's really hands-on.
Okay, like, the one thing I've always wondered is, why does a black family have an Irish last name?
I mean, I wondered that too, and then I like started googling it, and a lot of people from the Caribbean actually have like St. Patrick as a last name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
'Cause
so
I'm thinking leprechauns and
I
Conor
mean,
McGregor.
I know when I first read it, I was like, they're Irish. I was like, are they somewhat Irish? Okay.
Yeah,
And then my mom,
James and
she's like,
Patrick.
oh. Yeah, she's like, I mean,
After me, Lucky Charms. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I thought. I'm like, red hair, Irish. I just started thinking about Irish, and I was like, St. Patrick? That's really our last name? But, I'm kind of glad that's our last name, because when you hear St. Patrick, you think of two things. You think of Power, and you think of St. Patrick's Day. So, yeah, I think it was a good decision.
right. I mean, matter of fact, yeah, you're right. St. Patrick's Day is like
Yeah.
the only Irish holiday in America, so you're
Yeah.
kind of like really
Yeah.
associating yourself with that. But okay, no, it works.
Yeah,
I'm
it
cool
does.
with it. Okay, so you start filming.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is sort of like the most memorable moment in terms of all the filming that you did when it comes to Power?
All right, I'm going to say season 1, episode 8. It was the last episode when Raina did the school play and she dressed up like Annie. Well, she did Annie, yeah. So that was very memorable, because that scene was actually really cool, because they made a like custom made dress for me. So yeah, it was pretty cool. And then there
Okay.
was like over 300 people in the audience that day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Very cool.
yeah.
So the seasons are progressing.
Mm-hmm.
We get to season 4. and your brother's kind of turning more and more bad. He's starts drinking lean. He starts robbing people. I mean, he's involved in a murder and so forth. Like when you started seeing like this character development, you know, with your, I guess it's your twin brother on the show, right?
Yeah.
Like what did you start to think when you started seeing that?
Well, when I first started seeing the character development of like him going in a completely different direction, not completely different, because I mean his father is obviously involved in the dark side, but I mean I just didn't get it, because I'm like, why would he rob people and he has like everything under the sun? He's rich. Like, I mean, if you're rich, why would you want to rob people? I mean, it does happen every day. Rich people do rob poor people, but I'm like, come on, does he really need to rob people? That's one thing that I didn't fully understand. I'm just like, why would you do that? That doesn't make sense. But I guess he's trying to, I mean, with Tariq, I don't know, I guess he's trying to show that he can be bad, he can control his own life, and he's just going through some stuff.
Okay. So then in this last episode, you know, he was sort of involved in that murder, you know, that you know, the rich white woman that they did the home invasion on.
Yeah.
And then I guess one of the guys in that crew starts killing everybody off to sort of keep his name out of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So he kills off the two robbers.
Yeah.
And then he goes after your brother. You try to stand up for him, and you get killed.
And I get killed. And I was just like, are you serious? The first time Raina is like, boom, I'm here. Don't mess with my brother. She gets killed. I'm like, are you guys serious? So I was like, I don't know, it was so devastating. I'm like, the first time she actually does something memorable, she just has to die for it. But
so, I mean, you're 4 seasons into this, right? It's your biggest role ever, you know, yet in your career. It's the #1 show on television, and then you get this script, and it says, and then you get killed, and you're dead.
Yeah. But I mean, I didn't get the script. Courtney Kemp, the creator of the show, she actually brought me into her office. And we were finishing up episode 8 that day. So we were taping, and they were like, hey, Courtney wants to speak to you. And my mom, she was like, so Courtney wants you to come up to her office. And I was just like, really? Because I knew I'm like 90% like, I'm dead. Raina's dead. Or like 5% I might become a series regular. There might be some more character development. And I was like, but I think she's dead. So I went up, she told me, and she was like, hey, we're killing you off. And I was just like, wow. It was so unexpected. The same way the viewers felt, that's how I felt. Like when she told me, I cried, and I was so distraught.
Wait, so you actually cried right there in the office?
I did. I cried right in the office. I mean, now I can look back and laugh at it. But I cried. I was like shocked. And I think like for 2 seconds, I just like, well, not 2 seconds, probably like a good minute, I stood there with my mouth open. I was just like, are you serious? And then the tears came. And she was like, hey, it's just the way the show goes. That's the way of the show. And I was like, okay. And yeah, she was like, if you have any questions or concerns, I can call you or you can call me. So we set up a call. She called me. And like a few days later, I was trying to come up with suggestions to like save Raina, because I'm like, okay, like this was my suggestion. What if Raina doesn't necessarily approach him? Like she could approach him, but from a distance. Like she doesn't have to go that close. And she's like, hey, stop messing with my brother. Then she sees him pull out the gun. She sees Ray pull out the gun, and then she starts running. And he could have shot her in the back. She could have been paralyzed. I mean, we didn't have to see Raina die. But then she was like, no, if you're trying to change the way of the show, she was like, you can't do that. You can't. But yeah, it was a pretty messed up situation. But in the end, I mean, I think the end result was pretty amazing, just seeing all the fan love and the fan dedication.
I mean, when she first told you in the office, like, you didn't want to, like, tear the office up and flip the table over.
I mean, a part of me wanted to. I mean, a part of me just wanted to like rip her sticky notes off the wall and like, I mean, and a part of me just wanted to throw the scripts in the garbage. But then I was like, okay, you can't do that. You need to calm down. And I think like I was hyperventilating a little bit from crying. So, but yeah, a part of me wanted to scream. A part of me wanted to run up and down the halls. A part of me just wanted to run away.
I mean, when you came out of the room, did everyone kind of look at you like, oh, yeah, she dead?
Yeah, pretty much. The ADs, because I mean, I had to go back to set and I had to finish taping the episode. So the ADs, they were like, hey, Donshea, you know, you want to just come back downstairs, change into your wardrobe. And I was like, yeah. And I couldn't even get my breath out. We had to stop walking like so many times. They were like, are you okay? Just calm down. They were like, we know what happened, but we can't talk about it. Just stay calm. And so for the rest of the day, I just held it in.
Okay, so on the day that you're actually supposed to film the murder scene,
Yeah.
was there a part of you that just said, I ain't gonna do it? You know, when it's time for them, when they say, you know, action, I'm gonna be like, I'm not doing it. Y'all got to change the script. I'm out.
There was like, okay, when I was in my trailer, I fell asleep, and I was like, okay, maybe I can just like oversleep this, and then like, I fell asleep, and Mom was like, they need you on set, so I was like, let me just ignore her for like 2 seconds, and in the 80s, they were like, hey, Donshea, we need you on set, so then I was like, all right, let me just get up and get this over with, because I was like, who knows, they may change it later on, and I was like, which they're probably not going to, but I was like, who knows, you never know what may happen, so I went, I shot the scene, I did my own stunts, I fell on the ground like 28 times, probably more, I think like 50 times. But it was a cool experience, but I just wish Raina didn't have to die.
Right, you know, and then we're gonna, I guess, see the funeral, and then we're gonna see the after effects of what happens, because I don't think Ghost is just gonna, you know.
He's gonna lose it. He's definitely gonna lose it.
He's gonna lose it, yeah.
Yeah, I remember talking to the producers during the premiere of the first episode when we were in DC for the red carpet premiere, and they were like, hey, he's never going to be the same. Because I told them, I was like, okay, if Raina's going to die, at least let her go out with a bang. I was like, I want her legacy to like continue on the show. And they were like, yeah, well, you got that wish. They were like, Ghost is definitely like never going to be the same. Tasha's never going to be the same. Tommy's never going to be the same. Of course, Tariq isn't going to be the same.
Right.
So yeah, there's definitely going to be a huge aftermath of what goes on.